Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to Geeks Watch. I'm going to do things a little bit differently today. Normally, when I review anything like a streaming series, I will wait until I've watched the entire season and review the season as a whole. Today, I want to talk about season 2, episode 1 of Arcane. Specifically, the title of the episode is "Heavy as the Crown." Partly because of how it affected me personally. And because I want to discuss it, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the episode yet, I highly recommend you watching it. But here we go. Season 1 ended with GEEXX launching a rocket at the council's chambers and it detonating. Season 2, episode 1, Heavy as the Crown, starts with the aftermath of that. The explosion, the destruction of the council chamber, the people dead, dying, and injured. One of the people who died is Caitlyn's mother. As I've spoken of before, my mother died in a car accident when I was 16. Now, it's over 40 years ago, so I'm not like deep in my sorrows right now. It's a long time ago. But those things have a way of lingering. Because of that, I am familiar with how that feels and how the characters feel. I'm familiar with the grief process of what happens when someone whose mere existence defines your own existence is suddenly removed, how that pillar of your life is yanked out from under you. I know exactly how that feels. I know how it affects your sense of reality, how it affects your sense of self. And I've witnessed how it affects the people around you and how it affects them. That is a situation that I'm intimately familiar with. And based on the writing of this show, I have a feeling someone else on this show is as intimately familiar with it as I am. Or they've spoken to someone who is as intimately familiar with it as I am. The way in which it is portrayed, how it colors your perception of reality, how it affects how you see the world around you, how you see the people around you, how the different people in the film, and not the film, in the show react differently. Caitlyn reacts differently from her father. It's different to lose a parent than a spouse. There are similarities, of course, but there's a lot of time spent on their grief and their feelings, especially Caitlyn, because she's more a major character than her father. There are a couple scenes between Caitlyn and Vi that I want to talk about. Caitlyn says to Vi at one point, I watched my mother die. Do you know how that feels? To which Caitlyn responds, yes. She watched the city guard kill her mother. And later in the show, Caitlyn tries to recruit Vi to join the city guard to be with her because she's a leading member of the city guard. And Vi's like, did you even think before you asked me that? I watched the city guard, the people you work with, kill my mother. Did you even think before you asked me that? So those are some. But one of the things that really hit me the hardest was when Caitlyn, they're talking. It's a very good scene, very well written, very well acted, where Caitlyn and Vi are talking. And Caitlyn's like, there's this hole in my life, and I it's like people expect me to fill it, and I don't know what to fill it with. And I don't remember, those aren't the exact words, but the basic gist that there's this big hole in my life, and I can't fill it with anything. And Vi looks at her and says, the hole will get smaller, but it will never be filled. And man, do I feel that. Because that is probably one of the most accurate ways of describing it that I've ever heard. It does. It leaves a hole just right through you. And it does become easier to deal with, but it never, ever quite goes away. This was just, the depictions of grief were just so well written. Like I said, and, we focus mostly on Caitlyn's grief because as one of the main characters or a semi-main character, it does affect her a great deal. But we don't just deal with her. As we get small visions of her father's. Her father is angry that Violet is still there in their home because it was, after all, Violet's sister who launched the rocket. But we also deal with some of the surviving council members. We deal with their grief in the aftermath. They're having to deal with the fact that half the council is dead now. One of them is a couple of them are permanently maimed in one way or another. They're in grief. They're angry. They want retribution for the attack that was done against them. They feel it was entirely unjust. And because we've seen both sides of the argument, it sort of was. But at the same time, the people in the upper city have looked down on the people in the lower city forever. This is class warfare. It really is. And Powder just made things worse, a lot worse. And it's not going to get better. People want blood. People want revenge. And it doesn't get better. Violet and Caitlyn have their moments. They have their arguments about these things. The other members of the city council. And I would reference them by name, but I'm drawing blanks. There's the guy who's the inventor, who's in the city council, whose name I'm blanking on. There's the woman who's also name I'm blanking on, who is his sometime lover. And that woman's mother as well, who has got her fingers in trying to get weapons and technology out of the city for her own benefit. Has another subplot line going on. And then there's the climax of the film, the climax of the episode, which takes place at a memorial for the 3 deceased council members. There's a big dust up there. And then the finale, which I won't spoil with any more details than I've already given. I haven't watched the season as a whole, but this episode was good. It had a few, in my opinion, small moments that I think were just kind of a bit clunky. They weren't bad, just it didn't quite flow as smoothly as the rest of it. But the stuff between Caitlyn and Vi was just so emotional and so real and so familiar to me that I really felt that I wanted to talk about this episode in particular before I'd watched the rest of this. I actually haven't watched anything else. I didn't want to watch anything else until I had a chance to actually put my thoughts to digital, I guess, in this respect. Not to a page, but to the screen. Yeah, I really just wanted to say that, to say how much I appreciate it and how much this episode hit me, because it did hit me hard. Harder than you anticipate an animated series on Netflix to hit you. To get something that is written that well to hit that close to home really deserved its own commentary. As always, thanks for watching. As always, my stuff is crap. And until next time, good hunting.